Hello guys, and welcome to yet another true crime video. For those of you who are just joining us, hi, my name is Bongi and I post true crime content on this channel. So if that's the type of content that you happen to be interested in, please click on my channel and check it out. And also don't forget to subscribe while you're at it. And with that being said, let's get right into the video. This is True Crime with Bongi. So in today's video, we're going to be traveling back in time a little. We're going back to the 1970s. Today's video is going to be about the case of Marlene Lehnberg. And I'm not sure if you guys have heard of this case, because I personally hadn't heard about this case until I started this whole thing. So I thought I should share that with you guys because it's pretty interesting. But before I get into it, you guys already know that I have to issue out my usual disclaimer that I mean absolutely no disrespect to anybody that I'm going to be talking about in this video and all the families that were and are affected. This video is purely for educational purposes, and all the information that I'm going to be talking about was gotten off of the internet and simply compiled into one video. And now let's get into the case. So Marlene was born on the 15th of October 1955 in Cape Town, and there wasn't much said about her childhood, but from what I could find, Marlene was a pretty reserved person. She was also smart and happens to come out top of her class on multiple occasions. Her parents were very strict. They barely ever let their children go outside to play, or like just outside. They kept them in the house all the time, and they also didn't want them to focus on anything other than their schoolwork and anything school related. So that was Marlene's life. And despite Marlene being a bright student, at the end of 1971, when Marlene was just 16 years old, she decided that she wanted to drop out and go find a job. And in February 1972, Marlene started working at the orthopedic workshop of the Red Cross Children's Hospital as a receptionist. It was at this new job that Marlene met Christiaan Van der Linde, and the two developed a friendship. Christiaan was a 46-year-old married man who worked as a chief orthopedic technician at the orthopedic workshop where they both worked at. And he was a very energetic, enthusiastic, polite, and just an all-round friendly guy, you know, so it wasn't really hard for them to click. Marlene and her colleagues would often go out for drinks after work, and it was there that Christiaan would pay more attention to Marlene than the rest of the group. I mean, they both paid attention to each other, but Christiaan was definitely showing more interest in Marlene. He would also make some advances to see Marlene at work, like he would pass by her desk multiple times just to see her, and he would also sometimes ask her out, like they would go to lunch and stuff. He would do basically anything just to see Marlene as often as he possibly could during the day. And as a result of this, the colleagues would soon realize that a friendship had developed between the two. However, it was pretty obvious that the friendship was not an ordinary friendship. When Marlene turned 18, she moved out of home and finally got the freedom that she wanted from her parents, and this also allowed for her relationship with Christiaan to develop even more, or for their relationship to go to like the next step, you know. So Christiaan would often drive Marlene home, and then they would just spend some time together doing whatever couples did back then, you know, together at Marlene's place. Their relationship had been going on for about a year, and Marlene's bond with Christiaan was growing pretty strong. She wanted Christiaan to leave his wife, and she wanted them to be a proper couple, but Christiaan told her that he wasn't gonna leave his wife. He basically just tried to make it seem like the only reason why he was still in the marriage with Susanna was because of their children, but honestly he had no intentions of leaving Susanna because he felt like the relationship was not gonna go far because of their age difference. However, because Marlene was still young and pretty naive, she did believe that at some point Christiaan would leave his wife and they would be together. So early in 1974, Susanna, Christian's wife, received an anonymous call, and the person on the other end was informing her of Christian's affair. And when Susanna asked Christian about this, Christian denied having any knowledge about what the caller was talking about. He denied having an affair and just denied. But he knew that he had to put the brakes on his relationship with Marlene, so he stopped frequenting at her place and just tried spending more time with Susanna instead. And this pissed Marlene off. She was tired of spending less and less time with Christian and wanted more and more time with him, you know. And so in September 1974, Marlene decided to call Susanna. She told her about her relationship with Christian, and Susanna just hung up. But Marlene was determined to ruin their marriage, so she called again, and this time Susanna did respond. The two then decided to meet up in Belleville, which is a suburb in Cape Town, where they were just gonna, I guess, discuss their way forward. I don't know, but Marlene was hoping that she could convince Susanna that her marriage with Christian was over and that she should just leave Christian. But instead, Susanna told her that a divorce was totally out of question for her and that she didn't mind sharing Christian, and that's what it came down to. But again, Marlene wanted Christian all to herself, so she was pretty determined to get him, and she was willing to do pretty much anything just to get him. And not long after this meeting with Susanna, Marlene met a man called Martinez at the orthopedic workshop that she worked at. Martinez had lost one of his legs in a car accident, and he had went to Marlene's workplace in order to get an artificial limb adjusted. So as Marlene had conversations with Martinez, she discovered that he was actually unemployed, and she also discovered that he would often visit a place called Solly's Trading Store, and this place was not so far from Martinez's home. So with this information, Marlene decided to write Martinez a letter and used Solly's Trading Store as a delivery address. In this letter, Marlene asked Martinez to contact him if he wanted to make some good cash, and of course he was unemployed, so he wanted to make some good cash. So a few days later, he showed up again at Marlene's workplace. She told him to go to the town hall, where they would then meet and discuss the details of the job. When Marlene arrived at the town hall, she wasted no time. She immediately asked him if he would be willing to murder someone for her, and Martinez was a little shocked by this. I mean, he said that he knew that the job was probably going to be something illegal, but he didn't think that it would involve murder, you know. But also, like, I'm struggling to understand why Marlene would ask a one-legged man to murder somebody for her if she wanted the job to be a clean job. Because I mean, he has one leg, he obviously stands out, and there could be many witnesses who point that out. But anyways, Martinez was shocked by Marlene's request, but he ended up agreeing to do the job after Marlene persuaded him to. So a few days later, he went to the address that Marlene had given him in a Cape Town suburb called Boston, where Susanna and Christian lived, and he knocked on Susanna's door. So Susanna came by, opened the door, and Martinez got too scared to go ahead with the plan, and instead he asked if Susanna had some change. Susanna said that she didn't have any, and Martinez simply walked away. A week later, he met up with Marlene and told her that he got too scared to go ahead with the plan. And so Marlene told him that she would make sure that the hospital sped up the process of getting Martinez a new artificial limb if he went ahead with this plan. And again, he was still a little bit hesitant, but he ended up agreeing to go ahead with the plan. And he headed to Boston again, but this time he got too nervous and simply just walked past Susanna's house. So Marlene got frustrated with him and she decided to increase the price. She told him that she would give him a car if he went ahead with the plan, and again, hesitant Martinez ended up agreeing to go ahead with the plan. So in October 1974, Marlene drove Martinez to Susanna's house, dropped him off, and quickly sped off. And Susanna was actually standing inside her house. That time she was standing at her front window, and when she saw Martinez standing outside, she frantically called the police because she had seen this man before and she was seeing him again standing outside her house. So she called the police and Martinez was arrested. He was beaten and given a warning and told to stay away from Susanna's house. This demotivated Marlene, but not enough to get these foul thoughts out of her head. She decided to approach a 24-year-old engineering student called Robert Newman, who was living in the same building as her, and she asked to borrow his gun. Robert said no, and when he refused to borrow Marlene his gun, Marlene asked if he would be kind enough to murder someone for her, and again Robert refused. But only a few days later his llama pistol was stolen. So Robert reported this to the police, and he also informed them about his weird conversation with Marlene. So 1 week after this incident, on the 4th of November, Marlene drove to Martinez's neighborhood and told him that she was off to Johannesburg. She then asked him to accompany her to Susanna and Christian's home because she wanted to say goodbye to Christian. And despite Martinez being told by the police to stay away from Susanna's home, he agreed to accompany Marlene. So on the way to Susanna's home, Marlene pulled out a gun, gave it to Martinez, looked at him and said, "You know what you have to do." That morning, Christian was trying multiple times to contact Susanna, but all of his calls were going unanswered. He got worried because it was unlike Susanna to just not pick up the phone. So he called his daughter Zelda and told her to go to their home to check if Susanna was okay. Zelda was working at the time, so she couldn't go immediately, but she waited for her lunch break to go to the home. When she arrived at the home, she knocked on the door and nobody came to answer the door. So she walked to the window to check what was happening inside, and that's when she saw her mother lying on the floor in the dining room, motionless. And so she ran to the neighbor's house and asked to call the police, and that's when she reported the case. So the police arrived at the scene, and Susanna unfortunately was pronounced dead at the scene. Upon questioning some neighbors, the police knew that their prime suspect was a one-legged man that had been seen on multiple occasions outside Susanna's home. And although they had arrested him, they didn't have his address, which is bizarre. But anyways, they knew that he had been to the orthopedic workshop, so they went there to do some questioning and to investigate. And of course, the investigation all ended up pointing towards Marlene Lehnberg. So on the 13th of November, the police took Marlene in for questioning, and the police said that Marlene was suspiciously nervous. It seemed as though she was acting, she was pretending to be nervous, whereas she really wasn't. When she was asked if she had any association with a one-legged man, Marlene denied. And when she was asked about Robert Newman and their conversation, she said that she did ask Robert to murder someone for her, but she was just joking. She didn't mean anything by that. So after a while of unsuccessfully questioning Marlene, another police officer came by to take over, and suddenly Marlene just admitted to being involved. She said that she drove Martinez over to Susanna's home, waited for him in the car, and then drove him back to his place once he was done doing the deed. And of course, this was enough for the police to arrest her. They also arrested Martinez, who told a completely different story to Marlene's. He said that Marlene got out of the car, rang the doorbell, and they both entered the house together. He also said that Susanna was very scared and she tried to run to the phone, but Marlene stopped her, and that's when she fell over and hit her head. Marlene then hit her with a pistol and instructed Martinez to strangle her before giving him a pair of scissors that she had found in the drawers in the house and told Martinez to stab her. Marlene then covered Martinez with some green dye from an item in the house and then told him that if he went to the police or if he told anybody about the incident, she would deny having any involvement and just put the blame on him, and then she drove him back to his home. During the trial, Martinez's version of events seemed to be more credible because there were 2 sets of foreign DNA that were found on Susanna's body, and there was also a witness, one of Susanna's neighbors, who testified that on the 4th of November she did see a white Ford Anglia parked outside Susanna's home and that there was nobody inside. She said that she walked past the Ford 10 to 15 minutes later and there was still nobody else in the car, and this was of course in line with the fact that Martinez did say that they both went inside the house together. The trial lasted for 7 days and there was over 30 witnesses, and in the end both Marlene and Martinez were found guilty of murder and sentenced to death. However, their sentence was appealed, and in July 1975, Marlene's sentence was changed to 20 years imprisonment and Martinez's sentence was changed to 15 years imprisonment. Martinez was released in June 1986 and he died in a car accident in 1992. Marlene was also released in December 1986 and she did go on to live a fairly normal and pretty long life, but she did end up committing suicide in October of 2015, only 5 days before her 60th birthday. Honestly, when I started reading this case, before I got to the very end, I thought that Christiaan would be the one who dies, but unfortunately poor Christiaan Van der Linde paid for her husband's infidelity with her life. She was just an innocent third party, I feel, and it's so unfortunate that she had to die, you know. Anyways, it is true what they say, 2's a couple, 3's a scene. Once a third person is brought into the mix, chaos erupts. So I hope that you guys learn a thing or two from this video, and also just don't go around killing people, man. Please, please, we're better people, we're better than that. Please, please, I beg. Anyways, that brings us to the end of today's video. If you guys have any thoughts, please leave them in the comment section down below, and also don't forget to leave your case suggestions in the comment section. And if you haven't already, please click on the subscribe button and join the crew or the fam or the pact, I don't know, but just join us. Yeah, and also you guys, when you give me case suggestions, please don't leave unsolved cases down there. I really don't want to deal with that as yet. So yeah, please make sure that it's a solved case. Yeah. Anyways, I'll see you guys in my next one. Thanks again for watching this entire video. Bye.